Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the show. Mike Lonsborough along with Grant Pollock. Today we are talking about the Calgary Flames, the reputation, the legacy, what it means outside of Calgary in the hockey circles is a joke as far as what their on-ice product is. The owners can look at this in two ways. And again, we've asked this question, how do you gauge an NHL franchise? By the wins and the Stanley Cups, or by the ledger sheet? And this team certainly knows how to win when it comes to things on the ledger sheet. At what point do the Flame fans simply say, that's a bunch of crap, it's time to move on here, we need some excitement? You think about it, Grant, since Cliff Fletcher has left.
1990?
Yes. You know, so what you know, there's a, man, that's a lot of time for bad hockey. 2004, the run, really kind of lucky, but in between those, losing seasons, dismal seasons, bad players, bad coaches, yet they still make some money. They find ways to make money. Even in the days when the dollar was choking out a lot of Canadian teams, they were still able to somehow survive.
I wish I could disagree with you, but you hit every point.
Good night, everybody.
That's it. No, it's true. You're absolutely right. Since 1989, when the Flames won the Stanley Cup, they have gone beyond the first round of the playoffs how many times? Once. Yep. 2004. What's that? That's what, 24 years?
Yes.
Since that's incredible. One of the Flames, former Flame, posed this question to me. He says, Grant, you say the Flames aren't successful. This is back in the 90s. So look what's happened since then, too, since this player posed a question. He said, you don't think they're successful? And I said, no, I don't think they are. For reasons you just said. He goes, I disagree. They're successful. They make a lot of money. They employ everybody. They pay everybody. They pack the seats. They pack the stadium. Everything you want and expect from a business, entertainment business, the Flames do. They deliver. They just don't win Stanley Cups. They don't win in playoffs. But from a business standpoint, he said they're successful. From an on-ice win-loss situation, they haven't been. So I totally agree. So it's up to the fans, right?
Yeah.
Well, who are the fans of the Calgary Flames? The guys who say, hey, you want to get some season tickets? You and I give a couple of $1,000 each? That's that much of their client base.
Small, yeah.
It's the corporate season ticket base. Until they decide, like they did in the late 90s, when the dollar was low and the Flames were bad. I remember we did the hockey games, the Flames went 2-7, or Calgary 7 at that time. The ratings were terrible. The team was terrible. They were going to move. But until that changed, when corporate Calgary came together, bought a lot of season tickets, and that has continued to this day. Until that dries up, Mike, it'll stay the same in my opinion. So it doesn't matter what the average fan thinks. That's what corporate Calgary thinks, and they're paying the freight.
I talked to a guy who's got kind of a blowhard that owned a glass company in town that always had to, he loved this. He loved the fact that every time the Flames did something, he would jump on board with them. If they did a trip or anything like that, that he could pay.
Was he a season ticket guy?
Oh yeah. And
so he had 2 tickets and just signed every year.
Yeah, but he also the company had tickets, but he also went to all the events.
Oh, down in Phoenix,
yes,
or
and you know, so he could hang around and tell stories about, yeah, I did this and that. You know, so that's good for those kind of guys. But they're jock sniffers, and they are the guys that right now are paying the bills. But is this not a little bit like? Is this not Toronto West?
Yes.
Same friggin' thing.
Yes, it is.
How long has Toronto gone? Is it 1967 since they won the Stanley Cup?
I watched that game.
So did I. You're much older than I. But the thing about it, Grant, is, gee, Calgary could be on the same, unless something drastic changes.
It's mini Toronto. It's mini Toronto, sure, like when you talk NHL Hockey League. There's no question about that. It's true. And that'll stay the same until Mika Kiprasov and Jerome McGinley are moved and they start making hockey decisions, not pretending they're going to win right now, but thinking about building, getting quality players. Nathan MacKinnon, the hottest prospect in junior hockey, hurt right now, but he probably number 1 or number 2 pick. Go for those kind of guys, make it exciting. Until that happens, it's going to be the same old thing around here, and it might be since 1967 or a long time since we've won a cup.
Boy, you know, you just kind of look around the league, different examples. For example, Boston.
The Islanders are no better. They're even worse.
They're
their business prospects are worse.
How the hell does that guy make money? He must be a genius away from the game of hockey, because the way they run. Well, getting Tim Thomas to get them over the salary floor.
And now they can trade some other players. That keeps them above the floor.
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus, it's nuts.
But here's one thing, and you raise a good point, because you said, when will the fans finally say enough is enough? Don't you feel that in the early part of this season there is a little bit of that sentiment that, you know what, maybe it's time to change my feeling towards this team? I think that's creeping into the sentiment of the average Flames fan. So maybe trading a Mika Kiprasov or Jarome Iginla might be more palatable.
Let's look at 2 different organizations in the NHL, Grant, and both were teetering on disaster. The Boston Bruins, when they had Mike O'Connell, who made that ridiculous trade to San Jose and got rid of Joe Thornton. Brutal, brutal, brutal. But CHIARELLI comes in, and through some smart draft choice and even smarter trading, he's built that team into not
with
only
Cam Neely probably behind the
and
scenes.
Cam Neely, yeah, you bet. And so that group have rebuilt a depleted organization. So there's hope. Then you look at Edmonton, since their Stanley Cup days, and of course they kind of similar to the Flames, kind of, you know.
They win in 06, but a bit of a flute, not a
same thing.
Yeah,
same
similar,
thing.
similar.
Yeah, but at the same time, Grant, they've had all these great draft choices. They've been able to tell the public, just be patient with these kids. But you can only be patient for so long, because, again, they've started slipping again too, and you never know how long this is. On paper, I'd rather have that team than the Calgary Flames, but sooner or later they're going to have to put some results on the board as well.
Yeah, I don't know what the true good business model is, because the Philadelphia Flyers, one of the richest teams in the NHL, they always look good but underproduce. So and always making these drastic moves. So I don't know what the deal is there. I do believe that Jay Feaster and John Weisbrod and Craig Conroy have the makings of strong management that can see the real hockey decisions.
But they've been saddled with so much crap from years gone by.
But I think their minor system's better, and I think their prospects. I think you'll see them signing some NCAA grads in the next few months, or at least this year. Yeah. So I think there's the makings of a stronger system than there was before. So I think they're on the right track. The big move, as we've talked about incessantly here, is, of course, those 2 big guys have to be moved out to really make it a strong change. So you're right. I mean, Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Pittsburgh was terrible.
Yep.
They lucked out on getting Crosby, and then they got Malkin. Chicago. I remember doing the Flames broadcast, going into the new United Center. It was new then, and there was hardly anybody there. The Hawks were laughable. They get Patrick Kane. They get Jonathan Toews. They get Glenn Seabrook, and
the list goes on.
Duncan Keith.
Yeah,
yes.
Duncan Keith. Yeah. But you know, Grant, in the
so
same
the Flames got to be maybe bottom out.
Same thing could be said about Detroit. Remember how bad they were before
they were embarrassing.
Oh, brutal.
Embarrassing.
And Ken Holland every year makes them at least competitive. They're getting old now, but they're still competitive. So, I mean, there's lots of different models, but probably a lot of people around the league are looking at the Flames saying, how do these guys make so much money?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I think it's because of corporate Calgary. It's so strong here that there's at least 10,000 corporate season ticket base that will go and just give tickets away. That is strong. But I believe there is a feeling in this city right now, more than ever, it's time for a real change. I think so.